Apple has had their event. We're about 24 hours, give or take, away from it. Probably about 36 by the time you get this. And there's been a lot of news. So let's just dive right on in. What's
Got
up,
you.
everybody? Welcome back to the channel. As we said, Apple has finally had their Scary Fast event, and we got some announcements. I am your host, Didge, and like I said, I did bring back my good friend Trayvon, nerd with the tech. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. This should be fun to talk about. Give us a day to think about it. What we saw
Yeah,
yesterday.
we had a good day to think about it. Looking back at some of the things that we were talking about, we were expecting to see, we were kind of wrong in some instances. We were talking about iMac Pros. Are we gonna see iPads? They stuck strictly with the line of the M3 line, an iMac, and a MacBook Pro, and that was pretty much it. But first and foremost, let's get into that M3 line. Like I said, they did do the M3, M3 Pro, and M3 Max.
Mhm.
Kind of surprised no M3 Ultra right now, but whatever. What were your thoughts on the M3 line as it stands?
I was kind of surprised that they announced all three of them like that. 'Cause I think before it was just just the M2. I think just the M2, and then later did the M2 Pro and Max. I think with
Yeah, I
M1, I
think
think they did the
so.
same thing. So for them to announce all three of them at once like that, I thought that was pretty cool for them to do because that just gives an indication on what devices might come later, and they won't
Yeah,
have to talk about the chips. They just talk about what's in, like what devices using them going
yeah,
forward.
that's fair. That's definitely fair. I like that they did all three of them, like to the same point that you're talking about. But one thing I really like in this is that they talked about it's going to have hardware ray tracing, and I know you don't do like any type of game development. I'm not sure how much PC gaming you do, but just from console gaming how big that is, and being able to get some of these way more advanced games. So for them to bring it to the Mac, I think it showcases that one, they do want to get into gaming, like sort of like how we were talking about, but also I think they want to make sure that they can hit some of those developers. Again, whatever they have with between them and Epic, for sure they still want to capture that Unreal Engine market, and I think this is sort of a way of making sure that they can continuously capture that.
Yeah, for me, with when they said about the ray tracing, I was like, oh, cool. So, and I think the other thing was I forgot what it's called. The other
Oh,
thing
it's
they
like
said,
mesh
mesh
shading, mesh
shading.
shaders or
Yeah,
something like that.
mesh shading. I was like, okay, I don't know what exactly that means, but I'm sure that whoever game develops is pretty happy about that.
Right.
Um, for me, I guess it was just like, well, maybe that I can actually play a game on my Mac,
Yeah.
or if I get one of these newer ones, because I think that's good for them to get into that market, for them to be like, hey, you can play these games on here as well, not just Windows.
Right.
Um, that's good for them. I'm just curious to see in the actual using of it, how well is it? What frames per second is it? How what resolution can it get up to, and also still use ray tracing? Um, yeah, I mean, I'm curious about that, and I think that new thing they announced, what was it? Dynamic caching, I believe. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah, it basically was supposed to optimize the amount of memory they're using, like the device uses during their tasks. So,
Right.
um, I know just on the software side, like I think it's Chrome. I think specifically they try to say,
Oh,
oh, we're gonna only use this amount of memory during. I always see the little icon talking about, okay, we're gonna deactivate this tab for you. One, I have too many tabs open at all times anyway, so
Chrome just destroys anyway.
that is
Honestly,
also
it
that is
really
also
does.
true. But it'll be interesting to see something like that where the hardware and the software are both trying to sort of save memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. I guess that'll help for the base being still 8 gigabytes. I guess that'll help for the dynamic caching.
Yeah, that
Uh,
takes us perfectly into the first thing I wanted to talk about. Obviously we talked about the new line of chips, but the first device that they talked about with it, refreshed iMac. one thing we talked about, iMac hadn't been refreshed since what, the M1. So
Yeah.
for them to skip M2 completely and just say, "Hey, we're gonna put in an M3," makes sense. Everything else is pretty much the same design wise, same 24-inch screen, same, I think it's 7 different colors, same
Yeah, that
lightning
sounds
port
right.
on the on the
Yes.
peripherals, which is weird. I thought we were done with lightning. And actually I think same price. So
Yeah.
everything from 2021 to now is the same except for a new chip inside. And then like you said, unfortunately that also means the same 8 gig starting point,
And
which
yeah, it's an
it's kind
interesting
of
thing for them to do.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing for them to do. I mean, and like you just said about how it went from M1 to M3, that's definitely what they were doing all night with their
Hmm.
comparisons. Um, they really were not trying to talk about it compared to the M2.
At all.
Um, but it was on the chart, but that's not what they were talking about mainly because it was a big leap from M1 compared to the M2. I was like, M2 is not that much of a jump, but I get what you guys are trying to do. I get it.
Yeah, I think it was like we were talking about earlier, in that this isn't supposed to be the upgrade for someone who has an M2.
Yeah.
If you have if you have an iMac, if you don't have an M1 iMac, then you're still on Intel. So they for sure want to get you off of that. But even if you have like the MacBook or the MacBook Pro that we're gonna talk about later, um, you if you have an M2 and you just bought it within the last year or maybe 2 years, you probably don't care that much about upgrading right now. Like we keep talking about, these are all still expensive machines.
Right.
But for the person who does have the Intel Mac that's probably on its last legs, or the M1 Max Mac that is looking to sort of stay with the latest and greatest, maybe they do game development, so they want to get
Yeah.
that they want to get the hardware ray tracing and everything. This is sort of the machine for them, I guess.
Yeah. I would say so. Um, yeah, I think that'd be the best for them, and that'd be the best way to get them off of there.
Yeah,
Um,
you might
yeah,
have
I
did
mean,
better not having lightning ports on your peripherals, but
you know, I don't know. I don't know why they haven't changed those. It's very interesting,
I
honestly.
I want to ask, like, I just want to know what was the reason. It's got to be stock still, right? Like, it's just we got so much dead stock of this, and we got to make something off of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's probably still what's going on now. I mean, we still got a lot of accessories out here with lightning on it.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
even, I mean, this is random, but on Costco, I was looking at the backbone, and they only have the lightning one.
Ooh,
So
really?
I was like, huh,
Mm.
okay. On their website, it's on the lightning one, and they're giving away $25 of PlayStation credit with it. It's like they're trying to like, hey, get this thing, please.
Funny enough, it when I got my iPhone, I ended up having obviously the USB C one. Funny
Hmm.
enough, if you don't unless you buy it from the company, like
Hmm.
Backbone themselves, and it might have changed by now because they probably have sold enough of them
Hmm.
to just sort of deplete their stock. I had to go to one of my friends who had an Android phone to update the firmware
Oh,
because Best Buy stock still had it where the firmware
wow.
wasn't updated.
Oh, wow.
It
So it's
was
not something you can plug into the computer or anything? It's
no,
not? Oh.
no. I had to. It literally tells you, like, when I had to go on their website and like search it up, and it was
Mhm.
like you can either send it to them and they'll just send you out one with the USB C, like that's already been updated based on their factory.
Yeah.
Or if you have a friend who has an Android, go to them and say, "Hey, can you just plug this?" Because all once they plug it in, it'll update the firmware like once they load it up. But it was like that's
Wow.
annoying. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
So
it was interesting. You would have thought that they
can you
would have
download
had
the
that ready.
Backbone app or something and
You
just
would have thought
wow.
it was it was interesting. It seems like this transition from Lightning to USB C, while it's going kind of smooth, there are definitely a lot of quirks here and there.
Wow, that's definitely a problem. That might be an issue. Yikes. Mm,
But let's get after the iMac. Like I said, the next thing that they really talked about was their entry level MacBook Pro, and I'm really interested in this for one reason: the Touch Bar is gone. Were
yeah,
you a
it
fan of the
is.
Touch Bar?
I just saw it from afar because I've never
Okay,
had a
okay.
MacBook with that on there. For me, it looked like a neat idea, but it seemed like people are celebrating it, and I'm like, isn't it just like quick shortcuts? Like,
All
I
right. So
don't
I
know.
had a Mac that had it. I
Yeah,
hated it.
really?
I
Why?
absolutely hated it. It didn't serve a purpose. And I don't know if it was because it was the first Mac that I had after years of being on Windows. So I'm so used to the function row of keys and all of that.
Yeah.
But let me tell it didn't work like I think they wanted it to.
Hmm.
Now there might be some purists out there who are like, you just didn't use it right. For everything that I needed it to do, I felt like I was missing something by not having the actual keys there. So
Oh,
I was kind of upset about that.
okay.
So
Hmm.
I don't miss it at all. So it's really cool that now your baseline, the 14-inch one, it's obviously a little bigger.
Hmm.
It's going to come in at 1599. Still base M3, still 8 gigs.
So 8 gigs.
Like
Still 8 gigs.
it's interesting.
It's a choice.
It is, and I
It's a
mean,
choice.
I don't know. I think it
They
just
lowered the price. I guess that's
but did
a
it
plus.
really? Because I don't see someone, if you're buying a MacBook Pro, you're probably not paying just 1599 because you know it's coming with 8 gigs. Like you're probably gonna be like, I need to upgrade this a little bit.
True. That is true. That might be, yeah. That's it as well. I I don't know why they would do that still. And they always on the website they were up to 24. Yeah, but
Yeah,
tell us what
yeah,
that base is. It's
yeah.
still 8. Like not even 12.
I
Like,
think it was MKBHD who had the video and they were talking about the illusion of choice, where clearly, very clearly, they want you to get that 1999 one.
mhm,
So by giving you this one at 1599, it has the MacBook Pro in all but name, but you don't have the Pro processor or the Pro system on a chip rather. You don't have the Pro amount of RAM. You probably don't have the Pro amount of space. I'm assuming it's probably 256.
right.
I'll double check that. But all of those said, they're when you start putting in those upgrades, you're gonna very quickly get to that 1999 price
Yes,
and
you
then be
are.
like, well, I should have just bought this one in the first place.
Yeah, you might as well.
So I feel like that's their reasoning, and it's kind of frustrating. But if you can live with the base model, maybe. I mean, 1599 is, I guess, kind of a steal for a Mac.
I mean, I guess that's good for, I don't know. Maybe that's built for the student. I don't know. The regular the 14 or whatever,
Yeah,
or
serious.
I'm assuming that's what they're pointing that towards, because I'm like, well, I mean, like I said, I have a M1 Mac Mini and it's
Hmm.
fine, but I mean, we're running like I'm running OBS, Chrome, multiple tabs in Chrome,
Yeah,
and some other stuff. It can. I've seen it do a little stutter. I was like, wait a minute, I was like, wait a minute now, you can't
yeah.
handle that. But yeah, so it's.
I definitely think, to your point, the rigors of someone who's going through their creative day is probably going to tap that out very quickly, even with the
Yeah,
advances of an M3.
yeah,
Then the last device that they really unveiled, obviously the pair of devices, are the M3 Pro and Max versions of the 14 and 16-inch
right.
MacBook Pro. These are the flagship ones. Obviously, we again still pretty much nothing has changed with almost all of these devices, obviously barring the losing of the touchpad. But one thing that we did get here, and I'm not gonna lie, it might have kind of sold me, is the new color scheme that what did they call it? Space
Space
black.
black.
I'm not gonna
It's
lie,
dark
it's
gray,
definitely dark gray, but
but
it looks damn good.
it does.
It looks damn good. And like I said, a lot of the stuff internals didn't change. You're still getting the mini LED display, 1080p camera, same 6 speakers on the side,
Yeah.
up
Mhm.
to 120. I think 128 gigs in RAM might be the upgrade,
Yeah. Up to 128. Yeah.
because it was.
Unified
I think it
memory.
was 96 last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. Well, right
So
now for M3 is 24, then M3 Pro is 36, and then M3 Max is 128.
okay, see, I
So
think it was 24. 36. It might have been 24/32/96 if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Okay.
So, slight bump in what you can get with it. Obviously, we already talked about the hardware ray tracing that they're gonna get with it.
Right.
Pricing stayed the same, 19.99 for
Yeah.
base, 24.99 for base, 14 and 16.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, this was I think in the quickness that the event went, you could tell that this was kind of just a stepping stone release, I guess, where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we got a lot new for you guys. We got a there's a lot of growth, but this is just really incremental.
Yeah, this chip is
And
gonna be a lot more things.
yeah,
It's just no beginning.
yeah,
Um,
and that's what it felt like.
yeah, it was funny that you said that about this the space black because MKBHD also said in the video he was like because he has the M I think he says the M1 Max
Okay.
MacBook Pro, and he said I've been keeping this past the M2. He's like I don't need anything else, and he was like that space black. I
It
was like,
looks so
yeah, so
good.
and he was like maybe I will upgrade. I was like
It
that's so
looks
funny,
like when they
but
showed it, because the entire thing, I was just like, all right, these are cool. Like you
right,
said, something new. I was still thinking like I want to wait out for that Mac Studio
right.
upgrade. But then I saw that and I was like, ooh, that might have sold me.
Yeah, that color does look really good. And I mean, they're claiming that it would reduce fingerprints
I gotta
and
see that
all
in
that.
action. I don't know if I
Yeah,
believe that.
yeah. I was like, huh. And I just want to see about this dynamic caching thing. I just want to see how well that works. Like, if it's as great as they say, man, it could crush a lot of competition.
Seriously,
Um,
and I mean, I can't wait till people are starting to get their hands on it. And we can start sort of seeing it in action, starting to see people put it through its test
yeah,
because on paper everything looks great.
it does.
Obviously Apple has their charts and
Yeah,
because there's no graphs or there's no actual labels and anything that tells you real information, you
yeah.
take them as you take them, but
And this was an online only event, so there wasn't
yeah.
any testing after the event like there normally
Mhm.
is. So they invited no one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they actually the whole thing was filmed on a black on an iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Pro Max probably. With the Blackmagic camera app, which I was happy to see because I love that app. I like I was telling you before, I
yeah,
do all of the video that I do using my phone
yeah.
with that. So if I'm just getting quick video, that's the app I'm using for it. It was interesting to see sort of the backlash to that. Like people were like, "Well, they had lights and they had microphones," and it's like, yeah, that's what you do with any camera. You don't just take a camera out of its box and go, "Boom, we're gonna shoot with it."
To play devil advocate to what you just said. Now, when watched the video, I was like, okay, there was a shot on iPhone. It's not like a normal shooting or iPhone. I was like, when I saw all the equipment that they put it in, I was like,
But I mean,
yeah. I was like, okay. I mean, I
I,
get it. It's the camera
yeah,
is taking it, but they got all these rigs. Like everybody's saying, they do have the perfect lighting. I was like,
I
that
get it,
helps a lot.
I get it, and I can understand what they're saying, I guess. But like I said, that's what you do with any camera.
Yeah, that
So
is true.
like
That is
when I
true.
saw people when I saw people saying that, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. I immediately assumed that that's what they did. You light your shot and all of that, like
The drone shot is what I think impressed me the most. I said, "Oh, they did
yeah,
that." I was like, "They did
yeah.
that with it."
That
And
that one was cool.
the action mode, I think it's action mode on the iPhone 15 Pro
Is
right
it
now that
called
we
action
have.
mode?
It does work really well. So you ain't gonna see no shaking. So I
True.
do. So I'm like, yeah, these phones are getting better and better. I just want to, I guess, see if they keep doing that. Um, NKBHD loves to do like when he gets a new phone, he'll film. He has another channel where he like reviews cars, and he'll
Mm,
film like the whole car video in that phone. And he'll tell you afterwards. He's like, I filmed it with actually this camera, not like a red camera that he usually uses. So I
right.
think that's cool. So it's to see Apple use their phone to do it is really impressive. I was like, okay. So yeah, and I
It,
love that they put out the behind the scenes like that. Love that they
yeah, I
do that.
really like especially after seeing the information come out about what they used to shoot it. I
Yeah,
was really excited to see the behind the scenes just because one, always want to see how they film
Yes.
just the different keynotes in general, but to be able to sort of see it just through this lens, especially like that, I was excited to see that.
I mean, they were either they even they even talked about the USB-C to the hard drive out and all that. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, so they do use it like that. Although
I
they
will
could
say
have gave us Thunderbolt,
that
but okay,
the USB-C to the hard drive out works well. I did also use my iPhone to film my headphone review,
okay.
and it works so well. Like you all I need is something basically to attach it to this. So that way I don't have to hold my hard drive off to the side or something. Like once I can find a adequate accessory that I can just plug it in and have it attached probably to the back of the phone, this will definitely be my B camera forever.
You know what
It
this is getting you ready for? The Apple Vision Pro with the battery pack at the side.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
That's what it's getting you ready
No,
for.
I don't
You
I
just
don't
said you do the
want that.
same thing. You have a hard drive on your side with a
That's
wire.
And do you
So-
know how annoyed I was the entire time filming with that? You got to make sure it's out of the shot because I didn't have a long enough cable. Like I need something that is just can attach to the back of my phone, and I can be done with it. Was there anything that you were sad that we didn't get during the presentation?
um, n- no, because honestly, I mean, even with iPads and stuff, I'm like, I feel like the iPad is as powerful as it's gonna be until they give it some more abilities. Until they
Okay,
give it some more functionality. And I mean, we already have the split screen, and we got kind of the stage manager. Like
right.
I don't, until they let it run, I don't know, full powered apps or something. I don't know, whatever. Like, I, did they? I don't think they brung uh Final Cut Pro to like the iPad like directly.
Mm-hmm.
Have they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they
Well,
did do that. Okay.
it's not. I don't use Final Cut Pro, so I couldn't tell you for sure if it's full Final Cut. I could
I know
actually
Da Vinci did though, right? Da
They
Vinci.
for sure did,
Yeah.
but I know for sure there's a Final Cut Pro for iPad.
Okay.
I would assume it's probably acting largely the same as how DaVinci's is acting, like
Uh,
Resolve. I know you don't get every single page in Resolve with theirs, but you do get the ones that you would need to get something quick out and going. I feel like it's for a lot for the social media creators, just because you're not going to be as graphically intensive with those.
which is why I'm like, if they did put the M3 Pro or something ever in an iPad, I was like, maybe give it the ability to have an actual Mac app.
Hmm.
Just like you have iPad and iPhone apps on the Mac, maybe the other way around. And maybe see if it. I mean, but then that started tapping on your MacBook Pro, like, hey,
Right.
might not need you no more.
Right, and
Like, you
I
know,
think that's something that they're trying to make sure that they very clearly delineate is that this is what you get here,
yeah.
that's what you get there, and we're just gonna keep it at that.
That's why I think if the iPad ever gets up there, it'll just be M3. I think they'll always leave it at the base,
Oh, for sure.
the
I
base
can't I
model.
can't imagine that they're gonna ever go, well, you're getting you an M3 Max iPad. Like I think they'll be more apt to give you a touchscreen laptop first. And I don't know if I ever see them doing that. So that's sort of where my belief is with that. I will say personally, I am upset about there not being an iMac Pro.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, you you already did it once, so you have the body for it.
Yeah.
You could have very easily brought it back with an M3 Max or an M3 Pro. You didn't even bring it back when you did the M2 Ultra. Like it's like they gave up on that 27-inch form factor of the all-in-one, and I think they sort of did for the what is it, the Mac Studio and then the Provision, like the Provision display.
Yeah. I'm curious if it's even on the website still.
I would
Let
be
me see.
surprised if it is.
Let me see. Let's see. iMac and Mac Pro. So they don't even.
They don't even sell it anymore, and I think
No.
that's a disservice because a 27-inch screen. It's very. I granted I have all 32-inch screens, but 27 inches screen is great. You kind of need a larger screen than 24 and a half if you're doing anything more like graphically intensive. Like there's a reason why they don't do their displays that small because they know.
They
And
should they should do that and get rid of the Mac Pro. That thing is super
that's
expensive. That is the craziest thing. I couldn't
that's
believe that.
another thing that's kind of disappointing. Yeah, their studio display and their studio display is the 27-inch display. So they
Yeah,
could easily take that
it is.
and stuff the internals of the iMac in there.
Yeah, they could. These chips are getting smaller and smaller, right?
Three
So they should be able.
nanometers.
Yeah, so they should be able
It's,
to do it.
they should. I mean, that's something for them to noodle on. I think we can leave it there because
Yeah,
we've established everything from this event. This event was
yeah,
very short.
yeah. It was.
But no, I can't wait for the hands on. I think I got to figure out which one I'm going to get my hands on personally,
Okay.
and which one I'm going to cry about my bank account hurting after after I buy.
I'm looking at these trade-in values.
I've just hit that
Let's
page
see.
myself, and
Yeah.
we'll see what that is. But until next time, Trayvon, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys
Happy
next
to.
time.
All right. Peace.